shooters. I'm Dr. Tactical, coming at you from a little villa here on the intercoastal Fort Lauderdale. Mrs. Tactical and I are doing some R&R before SHOT Show comes in just under a month, getting psyched. Anyway, while we were on the beach, Mrs. Tactical and I were talking about the horrible incident that happened at Bondi Beach in Australia. And while we were talking about it, it kind of occurred to me. I mean, we live in the United States of America where we can shoot back, right? So that couldn't happen here. But then I realized I'm not carrying, not on the beach at least. And I started thinking about what's involved with carrying on the beach. And I thought this would be a great topic to discuss. So let's get into it. I'm Dr. Tactical, and the doctor will see you now. Welcome back to the channel. And those of you that are new, welcome to the channel. I hope you find this content useful and enjoyable. And if you do, please like, hype, and if you haven't already, subscribe. And by all means, if you're someone who does conceal carry at the beach and has some pearl wisdoms to share with us, or if you have any good, bad, or scary anecdotes, please share them in the comments section below. I'd really like to hear them. So today we're talking about one of the strangest and most complicated environments to think about when it comes to concealed carrying, the beach. Here we are. Like many of you, when I first heard about the horrific attack at Bondi Beach in Australia, my initial reaction was very American. That could never happen here, because here in the United States, we have armed citizens. We shoot back. But then I actually stopped and I thought about that a little more. Because I am one of those people. I am a US citizen. I have a permit. I legally carry a handgun, and I carry almost all the time, at least when it's legal to do so, obviously. And that's when I realized something that really honestly surprised me. I don't usually carry at the beach. Not because I don't believe in self-defense, not because I suddenly feel very safe here, but because the beach is one of the most awkward, inconvenient, and hostile environments imaginable for concealed carry. And that realization forced me to confront something very uncomfortable. If even I, someone who carries almost everywhere it's legal, tends to leave my firearm behind at the beach, then how many other law-abiding armed citizens are doing the exact same thing? And once I decided, okay, maybe I should carry at the beach, I quickly discovered just how complex that decision really is. So today, we're going to talk about beach carry. Not from a fantasy perspective, not a tactical ninja perspective, but from a real-world, civilian, legally armed American perspective. First, a disclaimer. Although I am a practicing dentist, I want to make it clear that this video is not legal or dental advice. Laws vary by state. They vary by county, sometimes by the specific beach or park. Always know the laws where you live and where you're going. Why the beach is different. The beach creates a perfect storm of problems for concealed carry. First, clothing. Swimsuits, board shorts, tank tops, cover-ups, none of these are friendly to concealment. Second, movement. You're bending, you're running, you're playing with the kids, getting in and out of the water. That dramatically increases the risk of printing, accidental exposure, or even losing control of the firearm. And third, the environment itself. Water, salt water, sand, all three are actively hostile to firearms, which brings us to the big question. Can you wear a gun in the water? Technically, yes. Practically, usually no. Saltwater is extremely corrosive. Even guns with polymer frames and coated slides still contain springs, pins, magazines, small internal parts that can rust quickly. Not to mention hydrolock. If you are literally carrying in the water, you need to know about Maritime Spring Cups for striker fire guns like Glocks. These allow water to flow past the striker so the gun can actually fire immediately after you draw it from the surf. Without them, water pressure can stop the firing pin from hitting the primer, and your gun's useless. As for the finish, you want modern nitride finishes, Glocks, HKs, and of course the Navy SEALs' beloved SIG MK25 with its phosphate-coated internals. You know, those guys occasionally get their guns touch damp, those SEALs. Definitely avoid blued steel. Sand is even worse. It gets into magazines, trigger mechanisms, striker channels, safeties, and controls. I know what you're thinking right now. And honestly, I would think twice about revolvers. They're stainless and they don't rely on magazines, both true. Sure, but if sand gets inside the complex clockwork behind the side plate, you've got a paperweight that's a bitch to clean. And reliability matters more than ever when it comes to the defensive firearm. Retention is another major concern. If you're in the water, your gun still needs complete trigger coverage, strong retention, zero chance of falling out. And here's the reality. Wet clothing clings to your body, which means printing becomes worse, not better. For most civilians, actually swimming with a loaded firearm is a terrible idea. A more realistic approach is carrying while you're dressed and having a clear plan for what happens when you go into the water. That's, of course, works better if you're there with other people of the same mindset. Practical beach carry options. Let's talk about them. So, what does make sense? First, carry when you're dry. Loose button-ups, rash guards, light cover garments. These allow inside the waistband carry, proper holsters, full trigger coverage. Beltless setups like belly bands or athletic holsters work well, but they can require some extra attention, especially for retention and printing. And then again, we've got to deal with the post-beach maintenance. And that leads us to an important mindset shift. Some people choose a specific beach gun, not a junk gun, not an unreliable gun, but a firearm they're willing to clean thoroughly, inspect regularly, and accept cosmetic wear on if you're willing to clean it. But a firearm they're willing to clean thoroughly, inspect regularly, and accept cosmetic wear on. If you're not willing to clean it every single time it sees salt water or sand, you probably shouldn't bring it to the beach. So it looks like my Staccato CS is out. It will not be enjoying any beach time. Alternatives and layers of defense. Here's an important point. Self-defense isn't binary. It is not gun or nothing. At the beach, layers matter. Pepper spray, where legal, can be easy to carry, effective, and much simpler to deploy in swimwear. Since initiating my research on this topic, I started a deep dive into pepper sprays. And so far, I have to say I've been most impressed with palm pepper spray. Truthfully, I've been intrigued by pepper spray so much so that I'm working on a video that really breaks down what to look for in a pepper spray and how to properly carry and deploy it. I actually have a link in the description portion down below, which will give you a link to palm pepper spray. And this link does help the channel, so please check it out. A knife can definitely come in handy if you're in very close quarters, but not super useful outside of arm's reach. Also important, as always, is awareness. Knowing where exits are, knowing where hard cover is, restrooms, concrete structures, lifeguard buildings, and having at least basic medical knowledge. Tourniquets, pressure dressing, or even improvised care using towels. Maintenance after the beach. If your gun gets wet, especially with salt water, you need to take maintenance very seriously. Unload safely, rinse with fresh water, especially if salt water was involved, field strip, dry completely, lubricate according to the manufacturer, and pay special attention to the magazines, springs, and controls. If you're not comfortable doing this, that's another sign that beach carry might not be for you. If you make the decision to be a beach carrier, you may want to consider stepping up your ultrasonic cleaning game. Many high-end ultrasonic units, in fact, you can check out this video I did a couple years ago, can be utilized, and not only just for cleaning the firearm, but also for lubricating it, and it gets into areas that you wouldn't normally be able to access. This is your best chance to properly maintain a firearm that's been subjected to the harsh environments of the beach. Oh, by the way, let's not forget ammo. Even though most factory ammo is sealed, The number one reason for hang fires, that's when the gunpowder doesn't ignite in a timely fashion and results in a delay of the bullet actually being fired, which can result in a squib or worse. Bottom line, wet ammo can have catastrophic results, so my official dental recommendation is, at the end of the day, discard any ammo that was fully submerged, especially if it was in saltwater. What if a Bondi-style attack happened here? So let's come back to the question that started all this. If something like Bondi happened at a US beach, what could a legally armed citizen realistically do? Well, priority number one is not finding the attacker. Priority number one is your people. Get your family out of danger. Get them out of the danger zone, move them off the X, find hard cover. Crowded beaches create terrible backstops. You've got panicked crowds, unknown other armed citizens, rapid police response. Engaging an attacker in an environment like this carries enormous risk. If there is an immediate, unavoidable threat of death or serious bodily harm, and you are legally justified and you have a clear shot with a safe backstop, you may choose to act. But the default is not to go hunting, if you will. The default is not to be the hero. The default is to escape, protect, survive. And when the threat stops, holster as soon as it's safe. Comply with police commands, obviously. Understand that the aftermath matters just as much as the moment. Just a quick note about the Bondi hero, a 43-year-old fruit shop owner and Syrian immigrant to Australia who bravely attacked one of the gunmen, even though he himself was unarmed. After taking away the gunman's rifle, he seemed confused as to what to do, because without his rifle, the gunman was no longer a threat. So our hero couldn't shoot him. He couldn't physically, try to subdue him because he had a long gun that the guy could get a hold of and possibly take back. He could have held him at gunpoint, but there's a tremendous risk there because there's a good chance that as the police show up, they're going to get confused. They're going to misassess, that's another Dr. Tactical coined word, the situation, and they're liable to assume that he is now the gunman. This is where pepper spray would have really shined. It could have been used to disable the shooter and allow our hero to step away and lower the firearm in a manner not threatening to law enforcement as they came into the scene. So beach carry is one of the most complicated self-defense environments we can imagine. For some people, carrying there may make sense. For others, it may not. The key is honesty. Honesty about your skills, honesty about your gear, and your willingness to maintain and change out your equipment. Your gun's not going to last as long. And you have to understand the law, because the goal isn't to feel tactical. The goal is to get home safely. Well, that's my contribution to the topic. If there's anything that you would like to add or share, please drop it in the comments section. I truly do want to hear it. I hope you found this video entertaining and informative, and I would greatly appreciate it if you would kindly like, hype, and if you haven't already, please subscribe. And of course, please share your comments in the comment section below. Remember, train smart, carry often, and most importantly, stay tactical, my friends. Stay tactical. I'm Dr. Tactical. Dr. Tactical, out.